Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today we're going to be looking at a pretty interesting update regarding Mamamax. Now usually when I do an investigation on the internet or make a big video, usually the matters are pretty done and dusted right there. I don't really have to go back. But, since then there's actually been a lot of developments that I think are worth talking about and worth revisiting. Now to give you an idea, about the end of last year, I covered a creator known as Mamamax, who used to be a friend of mine, all right, a friend of Nexpo, friend of Nick Crowley, friend of a lot of people in the horror community. Now, Max was a content creator that was known for filming investigations and takedowns on unsavory people on the internet, specifically being unsavory towards those that are not of age, okay? Now, it turned out that I think nearly all of Max's investigative materials were complete nonsense. Now, Max had an interesting style of producing content, his editing was top-notch, his filmography was great, but the actual subject matter was really a sensationalism of really serious issues in the world, all for the sake of making him look better and altruistic and more, I guess you could say, vigilante-like than anything, okay? He really was the quote-unquote wannabe Batman of the internet. Now, on one hand, I really don't care if people produce really edgy content, but they actually get results done. What I get really mad about is when people actually do these investigations and don't do them right, okay? You know what I mean? Like, don't do it justice. Actually get the people who are allegedly, doing bad things scot-free, getting away from stuff. So anyways, as I made my video and plenty of other creators made their videos as well too, basically debunking Max, we even got into a call at one point where he had legitimately claimed that ChatGPT, the artificial intelligence that some would say is getting dumber over time, can actually be passing on legal advice. All right, let's see, what is this? Oh, not ChatGPT, bro.
Okay. So, look at what I just sent you.
Yeah, you sent me a ChatGPT prompt, not a fucking legal definition.
ChatGPT understands the legal system.
Which is not true, by the way. Don't even believe that for a second. All right, Max was not exactly a truthful individual. Now, the reason why Max came into prominence was at the time, Max was running a video series regarding something known as God Cult. A cult which was centered around guarding our children, okay? God, guard our children. You get the idea? And the idea was to talk about cults and the impact that they would have on children or really anybody. Now, I think in the true crime sphere, there's a lot of channels that cover cults. And it's interesting when you look at a cult because sometimes you go all the way from something prominent like Heaven's Gate all the way to the Final Fantasy VII house, which is something that I definitely want to cover on my channel. So somewhere down maybe next month, we'll look into it, okay? Max had reached out to a lot of actual channel content creators, me included, and asked if we could join this investigation on a werewolf cult that he had at the time. And now Max had pretty much brought this on to me in the wake of another investigation I was doing with another YouTuber known as Carl Jobs. You probably might know what investigation that is. So I basically told him, all right, hold off, Chief, before I check in. So about a month later, when I was basically chastised into checking in this cult, I had found out that I had to sign up to a Discord server and apparently, sign some NDA to look at this information. Well, the information that I looked at belonging on the server, which I don't even think is active anymore, actually contained nothing actionable, okay? There was a lot of screenshots, there was a lot of testimonies, but usually in a situation like this, there needs to be some actionable evidence out there. But Max decided to basically jump the gun and start blatantly accusing one individual, Camden Gerard Davis, of being somebody that was offensive towards children, somebody that was preying upon minors, and of course also being a vampire and running a vampire werewolf cult, okay? Insane shit. Now, of course, since then, not much has actually changed. Max's entire reputation on the internet has basically been destroyed as people started to peel back the layers of his bullshit and really realize that, yeah, this guy's not really a good person. He doesn't care about protecting minors, and his investigations do more harm than good, and that's pretty much the end of that. So, of course, Max since then has pretty much been laying low, but there are a couple tabs that we're going to keep up with. So after we had made the video, he had basically released this one, I guess you could say, January 18th release. If people were silent, nothing would change. Now, this is a 3-minute video that I'm not going to play any second of because I do not want to provide Max the ability to DMCA strike me, even though that I would absolutely take him to court if he tried to. I just don't want to deal with the stress there. So anyways, this pinned post basically had Max talking about me and plenty of the content creators and shitting on us for basically critiquing him, saying that, you know, we were basically running this hate campaign against him and eventually the truth will prevail. Now, since January 18th, I will say the truth has not really come out and we are in mid-August. So yeah, still waiting on that there, buddy. So I figured, okay, maybe give the man a month and maybe he'll learn from his mistakes. Not really. Max posted February 5th on his Patreon, despite the recent defamation campaign. So right there and then, you already know that he's not learned anything regarding the situation, okay? Nothing here mattered. Your support has been invaluable. Unfortunately, our operation here has been severely crippled, so I'm currently seeking local employment. Now, at the time that those videos had come out, Max's Patreon took a sharp nosedive, and obviously that was the income that he primarily relied on, because Max was uploading at max like a video or two a year, which is not enough to make even anywhere decent AdSense to pay for cost of living. So at the time, he was making really decent money on Patreon, and his obvious like demographic was to go against, you know, the really degenerative society, right? Like people that prey on children. These are people that anybody can look good against, okay? Anybody can look good against somebody that harms children, okay? They're hated that much in society. Max found a way to somehow screw that up. So anyways, he said, I remain committed to our film projects in my free time. The film project is, we'll proceed with the documentary on Camden after law enforcement has concluded their investigation. Now, this is something you should have done in the beginning, right? This is the thing that I hate the most with people like this, because generally when we come up with an investigation, we don't even announce the investigation's release date until we actually have something conclusive to work on, right? When me and CoffeeZilla worked on financial investigations, any project that me and him have worked on, there was always the matter of getting the information first and then actually putting it together. Usually by the time there's any announcement that a project is coming out, we've already done all the interviews, notified any law enforcement agencies, done everything we can. There's no point announcing something without having anything tangible, because then if you don't have anything tangible, your reputation takes a nosedive. And those are just financial investigations. When dealing with situations regarding children, you want to make sure police are looped in and they're doing all that they can. And you also want to work with law enforcement to tell them what you can and cannot talk about in regards to a video. Max straight up defamed and called this person every name in the book without having something conclusive. And look, that person might be all the things Max accuses him of, but you have to provide the evidence, which Max did not do at all. An extremely detailed response video, Silence All Survivors, is in the works. Given Max's release schedule, I think we'll wait until Grand Theft Auto 7's launch before that happens, revealing certain influencers' actions against us, and the survivors we're supporting. Given the sheer volume of attacks, finalizing this project may take months. So this is a thing that drives me insane. Obviously, one of the influencers is me, because Max was not at all happy with me completely cutting ties with him and exposing his nonsense bullshit. But realistically, when you hear the word sheer volume of attacks, this is somebody that cannot take a single point of criticism. In fact, if anything, their ego is too inflated to the point of actually understanding where they went wrong and course correcting, which is actually a mark of somebody literally having a lolcow gene. It seems our detractors will continue to drown out our voices with more falsehoods and accusations until we give up. It's interesting how none of these accusations have ever yet been debunked by Max or anybody on their team, okay? And this is one thing that really, if I sound pissed off doing it, it's because I have to deal with somebody that has the ego thinking that they're right, okay? Nothing drives me more up the ass than somebody that has deluded themselves and tries to be smug about it with you, okay? That actually incites me more to dig in and absolutely lay some fire down, okay? But the truth soon emerges as over the horizon. I've not seen the truth emerging so far over the horizon. In fact, I've only seen lies. Stay alert and open-minded until you finally see the other side of the story. Theoretically, I could engage in the same manipulative strategies, align with their adversaries, exploit every rumor and accusation ever made about them, orchestrate gossip amongst our peers to alienate them, and even platform their most abusive ex-partners and past enemies. However, I refuse to engage in such tactics. And nobody, who is investigating Max and his bullshit ever really engaged in any of that. Max might be the only one that has ever even come close to doing any of this stuff. There are no adversaries, there is only fact. And the fact was, you had absolutely nothing to go off on, and you tried to basically get everyone to jump on to the SS Titanic of YouTube, which was your werewolf investigation. So obviously the community wasn't entirely happy about this. Obviously one of the comments was, "I legit feel robbed and exploited," which is kind of a similar pattern of comment that you'll be reading around this. And obviously nobody was really excited about this, okay? Nobody was happy about seeing any of this because it really showed that he had no accountability. Now, of course, May 12th rolled around, 11 days after my birthday. He made a post. "I want to remind mothers, fathers, teachers, and guardians how vital you are in guiding future generations through these challenging times." Now, this is a Patreon post that I can't entirely read in front of you, but to give you a paraphrased explanation of this without getting completely struck by Max, he basically said that children were basically the most important and vulnerable people in this declining world, which I wouldn't really jump and be so doomer and say the world is declining. Fucking leave your house and engage in things that aren't social media. Life won't be that bad. So, of course, he apologizes for the real life responsibilities, basically getting a job at this point, because how are you going to fund yourself? And he's apparently still working on these documentaries. And again, never forget to defend children from infinitely growing threats. Which, yeah, I mean, of course everyone wants to protect kids. And one thing I've learned covering Max is that when anybody gets so preachy about this, that's always, in my opinion, a bit of a red flag. They're not really in this for the right reasons. Look, I don't have kids myself. Maybe one day I will. But obviously, do I like, making sure children are safe? Sure. I just don't have a whole grift dedicated to it. Now, of course, there were still some things active on the internet. Like, for instance, the cult that we were looking at, the Guild of Divinity, still actually has their item shop available where you can buy t-shirts for $25. Don't think things are going to be headed over to you. But, since then, the cult has pretty much died down in terms of operations, it seems, or anything. Usually when you make an investigation piece and you light up the entire internet with this person's name and information, if they are committing terrible things, what you've basically done is told them, just shut up. Don't make mistakes. And then you're going to make the work of actual law enforcement who are investigating this person that much more harder. To give you an idea about Max's inflated ego, I'm going to play a clip of what he had said in regards to friend of the channel, Moist Critical, when it came to talking about his power and influence on the platform. Listen to this.
I could literally cancel you, Charlie. I could literally cancel you. And I choose not to. It's true though. It's the truth. I'm the friggin' pedo hunter.
Like, dog, who would say stuff like that? Okay, who is saying stuff like this? You're the hunter. You can shut down anybody. Get out of here. Now, when Max was asked about his accountability, one amazing video that he had put up, which, by the way, this was an unlisted video with apparently 4 fucking mid-roll ads. Now, when I was trying to visit things like the Spencer channel, which Spencer had a near 5-hour plus video on her channel detailing her actual, involvement with this cult, her whole story.
What was the operation like? Did he tell y'all, go to these places and...
So my particular recruitment style that he also encouraged others to do it this way too, was to go on Whisper and post about, oh, hey, if you want to join a family dynamic and be a part of a pack, hit me up on Kick, or DM me and then we'd give them the kick. So, there was one time he did have me lure a girl physically.
That was something that Max wanted people to really look at and treat as the principal source of evidence, when in reality it was just a he said, she said situation. There were some takeaways from this entire piece that I remember, which was that basically, Spencer admitted to also praying after minors. Now, granted, she was working underneath this Camden person, allegedly. But the thing about it is being this lead individual, there were a few issues. The way that she described herself made it seem like she was the Ghislaine Maxwell to the Jeffrey Epstein in the situation, the second in command, so to speak. And the other scenario over here that really shocked us was Spencer, the lead victim, was living with Max, who was the investigator. So immediately, if you're financing somebody, giving them room and board, what you do is create a serious conflict of interest. Meaning that if somebody wants to question your lead witness, they can say that there is a serious financial incentivization, because there is, for her to lie or make up things to attack somebody, if she's getting something in return. Which is one of the reasons why when we're investigating people, the last thing we do is give somebody money. And the last thing we do is take any money. Because the exchange of monetary goods or gifts can actually ruin an investigation. So that's why we don't do it. Max broke that rule, being the chief investigator himself. Now, since then, I've tried to look up her channel, which was youtube.com @King of Nothing. When I tried opening this channel up, it found out this page isn't available. Now, when you see the monkey, there's a chance that the channel got taken down. So I looked up one of the original URL links for one of Spencer's videos, and it led me to the video has been removed by the uploader. So it makes me wonder if there might be a serious legal implication that these people have gotten themselves into, and some of the statements she made has to probably be deleted, okay? Maybe there is some case going on. Maybe there is some counter lawsuit going on. Who really knows in this situation? But I'll get to some of that later. Now, where it gets really scary here is apparently Max, a couple weeks ago, was spotted working with nonprofit organizations where he was working directly with at-risk children. Now, somebody that has fucked up investigations for children like this, seeing him work towards that is something that I only see as an individual doing when they want to build up their resume and not really try to make amends. This is some plan to come back to YouTube while saying, oh, look, I worked with this organization, therefore now I have some credibility. Give me money again, people. Now, this organization, Texas CASA, which is volunteers that are ordinary people that come from all walks of life, and just like the children in foster care that they help, so at-risk children, they're basically there for a kid's daily life and serve as mentors and whatnot to get these kids feeling more safe and whatnot. So apparently this organization, CASA of El Paso, actually ended up saying last night at our volunteer dinner to show all our court-appointed special advocates, so the fact that we're dealing with courts and anything in the legal system, given how much of a fuck-up this person is, in any legal investigation is scary. How grateful we are for each and every one of you. Your commitment to walking alongside the children and families of El Paso involved in the foster care system is truly appreciated. So obviously the people involved were these people, but of course one of them we recognize as a friend, Mamamax. So of course, when it comes down to these advocates, right, every child has a chance. I don't really think kids and their investigations have a chance when this scumbag is sitting in your Zoom call, okay? And of course, the further we go down, obviously Max's abilities to film make was something that he was helping teach to children, which was probably the only thing that I think he was fit to do in the first place. Anything regarding the law or justice, absolutely terrible. Horrible stuff to see. One thing that really got me freaked out here was Max's mega upload link. Now, originally, we had seen this link, which was the folder or file was reported to contain objectionable content such as CSAM material, violent extremism, and bestiality. So the link creator's account has been closed and their full details, including IP address, have been provided to the authorities. Now, back 8 months ago when people looked through Max's Vimeo account, which has a lot of content now unfortunately removed for, investigation stuff, one of them linked to a Pastebin account that Max had apparently owned. 4 years ago, one of these, untitled February 26, 2021, led to a Pastebin where the evidence was located in this mega NZ folder. When going to this URL now, what actually comes out is something even freakier. So the content you're visiting is because the folder was containing illegal objectionable content. However, there is a new little blurb here. If you have concerns about your thoughts or behavior regarding sexual images of minors, there is confidential, anonymous help available. The Stop It Now Protect help people deal with, thoughts about, minors and make positive changes. So interesting blurb to add. One of these speculations was if it wasn't, illegal material like that, maybe it was something snuff related and whatnot. And the thing is, I would wager that even based on the transparency reports, there is something owned in this account that absolutely broke stuff. Now, at the time, Max even told me that this account wasn't connected to him, but somebody else, which, again, I can choose to believe or not believe. At this point, his trust isn't entirely, trust really isn't there. But at this moment in time, seeing this, if you're affiliated with anybody on your team or anybody close to you that could be uploading this material, That is very, very illegal. You cannot store illegal material even if you're quote unquote investigating it, okay? It is illegal to distribute, host, or possess any of this illegal material, which shows me exactly why this fucking scumbag shouldn't be working with kids or anybody in the future. But of course, things escalated even beyond all of this, ladies and gentlemen, because it seems like Spencer, the star witness in this entire charade, came out and basically was not entirely happy with the treatment that Max had provided. So about 2 days ago, one verified update coming from this Mamamax mock team on Reddit said, "I have known Spencer since I was 15, want to clear the air. She was always kind to me, so it hurts to post this, but she also kind of abused my empathy to her in the fullest. And I know somewhat enough to, I think, to make a credible post. She did go missing at a point in time, but knew of Max and Max knew her. This was not, I came across this as a YouTuber. These people knew each other, apparently, it seemed. Camden did have Spencer come to Georgia. She says she talked her way into getting on a bus. But when she told me the story after years of not seeing each other, because of seeing Camden and the whole situation, then reconnecting, she told me he bought her a ticket. So again, when you have stories that constantly fluctuate, it makes the entire situation unbelievable down the road to the most skeptical of people. I never knew about the vampire werewolf stuff, but I knew she wrote fan fiction about it, and I feel maybe she was so lost on the internet that this fantasy could become real to her. I don't know. She never told me she would recruit other young underage girls for him. She told me he was doing this to other girls, and it was a cult that everyone was involved in. I think she had this information because of how it would look. Yeah, if you look like the Ghislaine Maxwell in the situation, you're, in my opinion, also just as guilty. When I found out through an edit clip of their podcast that she basically groomed, I was disgusted. So she has no disability. I myself was paid to take her to get it checked out so she could receive disability checks. Essentially, she was denied because there's no disability. Later on in our friendship, she mentioned a guy that has a YouTube channel, Mamamax, who she was friends with for years, wants to help get justice for her and other girls. And it would take some years to do so. I thought it was great because she'll be getting justice. She opened up about many miscarriages, and as someone who has miscarried, I also felt bad, but in the back of my mind, found it odd due to the amount of miscarriages. Now, me, I'm a man, so this whole topic point was not something I was going to go into. If my YouTube channel was my wife, she would absolutely tear into this, being a nurse that she is. She told me that the amount of miscarriages going through just did not add up, okay? Timings did not work the way that Spencer had described it. But of course, this is a minor point in the grand scheme of things. Anyways, not to trauma dump, she would share these stories with other people, and I would introduce her to, and they would always tell me that she is lying, but she's so deep in her lies, she believes them. I have a friend who is a psychologist. We all went to a club together, and when he met her, he said she definitely has trauma, but that unhealed trauma, she's developed a victim mentality, which absolutely can be a real thing. There's no doubt in my mind that there's probably something that has went wrong in this person's life, but, you can either let it frame you as a forever victim, or you can choose to grow up out of it. There's bad things that happen in plenty of people's lives, okay? Some people can work through it, and God bless you if you can, and some people, unfortunately, succumb to it and develop, more, I guess you could say, mental disabilities out of it, okay? Their mental framework just shifts. So obviously, that is just a statement from this person right here, but obviously somebody who appears to be pretty close to the situation. What is important is apparently the messages that Spencer had sent out. Now, I want to preface, anytime I see a message that I haven't myself refreshed, I can't necessarily believe it. But I'm also glad to see somebody is a 5% battery warrior like yours truly. So I ended up moving in, this is from Spencer apparently, moving in with the YouTuber that was supposed to help me expose the cult as it was my last resort. Actually, I think that was described more as of your first, thing, right? Like, to be fair, law enforcement, I guess, weren't taking you seriously. Actually, yeah, I guess it was maybe your last resort, whatever. He promised to cover food, medical, everything. Well, he only wanted to help for the money, so he never paid any of my medical from the start, okay? He was buying food at first, but then he tanked his career, which in turn has people convinced I'm a bad person like him, so people are stalking me online. I think when you expose yourself to other internet investigators, your life is going to be looked into. And how are you also not somewhat of a bad person when you yourself have basically admitted to finding minors on the internet and drawing them into this? And wants me out because he's not making money off me, but still wants to try to make money off me. He got me a dog and had me move everything I own to anchor me. I figured out a foster for my dog until I can figure permanent housing, out, but my biggest issue is needing someone willing to drive the full 18 hours from Dallas to here and here back. Oof. You know, Greyhound is an option. I have the U-Haul trailer figured out, but I'm panicked because if I don't get out after my dog leaves on the 15th, I'll be stuck here until after my birthday and have no way to really feed myself. Oh boy. So basically, moving on forward into it, she said, I've basically been having to live off donating plasma because I was limited to remote work. And I don't believe that remote work was actually even being done. I don't qualify for anything remote due to my experience. I just need to be back near people I know. He's not physically hurting me, obviously, thankfully, Max, but was withholding funds that were supposed to be mine since January. Saw me struggling to donate plasma just to feed my dog and myself. Gaslights me and also tried to convince me to break up with Michael. What is it up with this Max character and... God damn. He had $5,000 that he was supposed to give back to me as funds for the survivor of the cult, but everyone else fucked off. Now, mind you, at the time that money was being exchanged, Spencer was basically getting the lion's share of funds, and there were some people apparently struggling to buy diapers for their kids. It was an insane situation. I asked for the money every now and again, but his excuse was always something about bills. Yeah, typically people have bills to pay. Everyone does. I finally remembered again today, and he's taking $1,700 in expenses. So I only get $3,300, and he wants to do it in 5 payments of $660. I got my first payment today, but with covering my dog's transportation, my friend to foster him, it set me back a bit. If you make a post, please just don't name me, as people on Reddit are stalking me because of this YouTuber, and I don't want to add fuel to their fire. Well, when this person talked about potentially suing me and bringing a civil charge against me for $1 million, I genuinely do not care about these people. You know, I think it's insane that trying to do your best on the internet can oftentimes get you in with backlash from communities like Max's, who accuse you of not being, thoughtful of victims, and then in some cases, when you're actually standing up for yourself, threaten to sue you. You know, Max, if you still want to sue me, I really don't care. I'd actually be down to go band for band in a courtroom. It wouldn't really matter. Anything to basically give you the actual just desserts that you needed in this situation. Because honestly, normally I don't take situations like this personally, but somebody who I opened up to as somebody I considered a friend at one point, yeah, I really, trust me, once the bridge is burned, this bridge has a personal point to it, and there's no rebuilding it, at least from my point. But yeah, Max and his whole situation, his whole story has sort of blown up. Now, behind the scenes, I will say that there is at least one person who had a case that I've, followed up from time to time, who actually seems to have gotten their life very much together. And while there's not much of an update, I would say, in the Cambridge case when it comes to law enforcement, I don't think there ever really is going to be, just because of how badly this one YouTuber messed up this actual investigation. And this serves as a cautionary tale as to if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, don't get involved. But ladies and gentlemen, yeah, wanted to give you guys an update on Mamamax. A lot to talk about, but hopefully this answers some questions. Hopefully this satiates some people, right, who've kind of been, looking for a bit of a follow-up. But ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.